Hey, what's going on everyone? And my name is Ali, and in this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to add sea waves and bring your scene to life using the wave effect. So without further ado, let's dive right into this. First thing I'm going to do is I will delete this scene that I created or designed, and I'm going to start with opening my studio right here, go into the backgrounds, and then bring that sea background, and then I should be able to find it as one of the, yep, that's the one I want to use. And then, so the goal here is that I want to bring this whole scene to life. And as you can see, what we've got is a simple sea view with mountains and this static boat. And so we want to use the wave effect to bring this whole thing to life, animating the entire scene and making it more engaging and attractive. So the first thing I'm going to do here, now that I have my background or setup, I'm gonna right click and then ungroup this thing. And so I want to right click the keyframes as well and delete that, just so I can start from scratch and then build everything exactly how I want. So I'm not going to worry about the boat for now. I'll just worry about it a little bit later. I really want to focus on the background to bring it to life before we even talk about the boat and how to animate it. So now that we've got our background set, we want to go ahead and duplicate it. So hit Control or Command D to have another duplicate. And then I'm going to open up my shapes, grab a rectangle shape, and I want to use that shape as my mask to be able to, mask the sea in the image, and then be able to add the wave effect to it, and then animate it, bring some wave to it, to make it more live and engaging. So making sure that my triangle is going to cover most part of the sea. As you can see, there's going to be just a little bit of the base sea, which is totally fine. That's not a problem. That wouldn't be affected. So what we want to do here, now that we got our rectangle shape, we want to select the background, select the rectangle shape and the duplicated layer, and then we want to right click and then mask these guys together. So now that we have that set, all we want to do is go and open up our effects tab, which is the start icon on the left panel. And then from the effects tab right here, we want to grab the wave effect. So we're going to drag and drop it onto the duplicated layer that we are using as our mask. And we're going to go under the effects tab on the right panel. Now we see that the effect has been added, and all we need to do is just click on the wave effect right here, or the word that says wave, to open up our preset settings and then start playing with this the way we want to. So I'm going to start playing with the width and then try to, increase that just a little bit like this and go up to 54, for example. I'll leave the height as is, or maybe just increase it a little bit. Let's say 20 and test that out. The direction is fine. And then the speed, let me go ahead and click on preview and show you what that looks like. This is definitely too speedy, and we're going to need to decrease the speed down to, let's do 3, and that should be fine. So we're going to go ahead and change it, click on play, and now we have a pretty cool, nice wave effect added to the sea, and everything looking good so far. Next up, I want to start working with my boat image to bring it to life into this scene. So I'm going to grab my boat image right here, and I want this image, I'm going to grab it inside my scene as my first step. And then what I want to do is I want to, as you can see here, this is just a static image for our boat. So what we need here is we want to animate our boat so we can have it, sail from one direction to another, which is going to be from the right side onto the left side, going across the entire screen. But the one thing we want to do is we want to animate this whole boat so it doesn't look like a static image moving on a straight line on the sea, because naturally when you're looking at boats or ships that are sailing in the water, there's usually like this type of swing, following the waves in the sea, just to make it look more natural. And we also want to go ahead and animate the sails as well. So I'm going to animate both sails. I'm going to show you step by step how to do so. So the first thing I'm going to do is I will duplicate the image, the boat image 2 times. So I want to have another 2 duplicates of it. So I'm going to hit Control. If you're using OS or Mac OS, we might want to do Command D. And as you can see in the timeline, I now have 3 images of my boat. Again, I'm going to use 2 of those to animate my sails, and then I want to use the other one to animate the whole thing together and have this boat, sail from one direction to another. So let's start with working on the sails and then basically animate those. The best practice for this is to use the mask, obviously, but then I found it a little bit tedious to have to work with shapes and grab the triangle shape and try to resize it about the same size of my sails right here. So I found that the best solution is to work with the pen tool, and the pen tool, is so powerful because it can let you draw anything anything that you want, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to start drawing around the left sail right here, and then I want to make sure that I have, and now it's not going to be as perfect, but I want to try to cover at least most of it, so when I use that as my mask, then I should be able to animate my sail and make it look like wavy, and it looks more natural and definitely engaging to the audience. So now I'm just following along the shape right there, and then once I'm done, all you need to do is to click on the connect shape right there above the timeline, and then you want to make sure that you take the border off. So under settings, you can see here that we've got the border width at 3 pixels. We want to take that off and make it 0, and then going back right there, so we might want to adjust the size just a little bit, like stretch it out just a little bit like that. So that would be our first one, and then I'm going to use that shape as my mask for the left sail. So let's say this is going to be the image. What I'm going to do is I will select my pen tool along with the one of the duplicates, which is the one underneath it, and then I want to right click and then click on mask. So now I have this mask. So let's say this is going to be sail number 1 right there, and then all I can do is go into the effects tab one more time, grab the wave effect and drop it onto that one, so I can add some wave effect to it, bring it to life. So now I have the effect added. I just go under the effects tab on the right panel, open up the wave preset settings, and then I just want to start playing with the width, height, and all that, just to make sure that it looks as perfect. So I'm going to increase the width and try something like 63 or something. The height is going to be the same. Direction is also maybe you want to make the direction to a little to the left, like 313 degrees, something like that. And the speed is definitely going down to 3%, I guess, as well. So let's have a play on that. Yep, looks perfect. Everything is looking good so far. Next up, we want to go ahead and animate our sail that's on the right side. So what we're going to do is we'll take this layer for the first sail, take it away just for now, so we can just focus on the other duplicate and work with sail number 2. So let's go ahead and do that now. And then I'm going to drag my pen tool one more time to draw a shape around sail number 2, just like that. Again, I don't want to cover it, entirely, but I at least I want to cover most of it. As you can see here, just enough to cover the shape or the sail and be able to animate it exactly how I want. Okay, looks like I did something wrong. Just give me 1 second. I'm going to try one more time. Delete that shape, and then we're going to start with the pen tool one more time right there. And let's start with our first dot. And by the way, if you're interested in learning more about the pen tool, you can look on the right panel of the software. It basically gives you the instructions on how to use the pen tool, and it's pretty simple. You don't need to have any drawing skills at all, because I don't have drawing skills either. I'm basically just following along an existing image and just drawing around it so I can create that shape that I'm looking for. So now that I've got my triangle shape ready, I just want to click on connect shape button above the timeline to connect all the shapes, and remember to take off the border and make that 0 width. And then maybe we just want to stretch this out also a little bit, enough to cover the right sail, just like that. And then what we can do is we can select that image one more time and the other duplicate of my boat, and then simply just right click that and then mask these guys together. And let's go ahead and rename it. So this is going to be sail number 2, just so we know what we're working with. And then I'm going to open up my effects tab, grab the wave effect onto it and drop it under that layer. And as you can see, the wave has now been applied. We just want to go and make some adjustments to make it look right. So click on the wave, the word that says wave under the effects tab to open up your preset settings. And then we want to play with the width for that. Also increase that, go something around 50 or so. We want to play with the direction as well. So maybe we want to make that like 61, and let's have a look at that. Decrease the speed down to 3%, and let's see what that looks like. Perfect. Everything looking good so far. Now let's grab the layer that says sail number 1, and then I've got everything covered. Now the next thing I want to do is I want to select all the boat layers in a timeline and basically just extend these out by dragging them all the way to 12 seconds. And then I may want to grab one of my characters just to add him and add them, you know, just to bring that more to life basically, and you know, and make it look more engaging. So let's go ahead and add one of our characters, and that would be Maui that we've got right there. And then what I'm going to do is I'll have this guy sit at the back end of the boat, right? So in order to do that, I will need to go under settings for action number 1, and that will be the only action for the character. So we're going to click the button to open up the action list, and then we're going to choose the sitting action, right? Next up, we want to right-click the sitting button or animation button on the characters layer to disable starting and disable ending animation as well. Reason we're doing that is because we want our character to be sitting the whole time, right from the very beginning until the end. So let's do that right now and resize our character. Make sure he's in the right proportionate, right on sitting on the back end of the boat, just like that. And then we also want to extend the action just by dragging the characters layer from this little vertical line towards the end and drag it all the way to line it up with the rest of the layers. Now, if I want to bring this even more to life, like the boat image, I can actually try to create a cast shadow to it, right? And that would really, you know, even bring it more to life. So if you look at the actual image, we already see the shadow of the mountains reflected on the surface of the water. So why not do this for the boat as well, right? So now that we've got this, what I'm going to do is I'll simply select all the layers. So I've got my boat image as well as both sails, which I animated. I simply just right click and then group these guys together, and then right click again, rename, and then call this boat right there. And then maybe I want to take a snapshot of it because I tried to resize it from the top to bring it down so I can make it create a shadow from it. And it was basically cropping the image from the bottom for some reason. I don't know why. So I found that the best solution would be taking a snapshot of the image. So right click that group and then take a snapshot just like that. And then we can easily just drag this guy right here, and then make sure that it's the same size of the of our boat. And then all we got to do to create that shadow is simply just drag the image from the top like that, like this, and then we want to skew this. So in order for us to skew it, if you hover over the edge of the image, you can see that we have a vertical arrow that's pointing on both ways. In order to change that, we need to hit the shift button on our keyboard, and then once we move our mouse, hover over that area again, the arrow is going to turn to a horizontal one. So from there we can actually hold lift click with our mouse, drag this a little to the left like that to basically skew the image of our boat, and then have a cast shadow to the actual, or to the original image of our boat, right? So let's go ahead and extend that layer as well in the timeline, make sure it's lined up with the rest of the layers. And then I basically just want to make sure that it's kind of like right underneath the boat layer. And then from there, what I can do as well is, now that I've got this set up, first of all, I'm going to select my boat group as well as my character, and I want to group these guys together. So I'm going to group that right there, and then right click, rename that one more time, and then call this boat. And from there, I can just, bring that group on top of it so that it kind of like looks natural. So let's have a look and see if it actually does. So something like this would look really amazing. And then we can also, to make it look perfect, we can decrease the opacity of the image. So that's exactly what I'm going to do right now. I'll decrease the opacity just a little bit like that. And the other thing we can do as well is, guess what? We can add the wave effect onto that one as well to make it follow along with the waves, you know, on the water, right? So we're gonna grab the wave effect onto that layer as well, which is the cast shadow that we just created, just like that. And then we go under the effects tab on the right panel, open up the preset settings, and then we just want to play with the width as well, just to increase that, you know, something around 40s or 50s. And then we can keep the height as is. The direction is fine. The speed is definitely needs to be decreased also to 3%, so they're all lined up, or all the layers have the same type of you know, speed power. So we click on start. Let me show you what that looks like. Yep, looking perfect so far. So I've got everything covered now. And then what I'm going to do next is I want to group, you know, both together. So my cast shadow as well as my boat group that has, you know, all the masking and my character and everything. Control or Command G to group this up. Right click, rename that one more time, and then call this boat. And then we can go ahead and animate this one to bring it to life, right? So what I'm going to do is I want to have this boat start from the right side, like something like this. And then I want to have it cross the entire screen onto the left side. So what we're going to do is we will use keyframes in order to do that. So as we have our group selected, we need to click on Add Animation. Under Properties, we will choose Position, and the easing is going to be linear for both in and out. Now we've got our keyframe. So I'm going to extend the second keyframe, make it go all the way until the end of the track, just like this. You know, almost to the end. It doesn't have to be to the very end of the track. And then I want to select the second keyframe, make sure it is selected as in turned in blue. That's how you know it's going to take effect. And with your keyboard, you can simply just hold the shift on the left arrow key, and then you can drag your boat image all the way, crossing the entire screen, going outside of our scene on the left side. So everything looking good so far. Let's go back to the very beginning, then have a play and show you what it looks like. So let's go ahead and see that. This is really amazing. As you can see, it's absolutely perfect. It's beautiful. Now, as you can see, because we now have a wavy, like we brought this whole thing to life, right? We want to make it look more realistic. So what we're going to do is we need to add some swing animation to the boat to make it look like, you know, like it's swinging and basically just following along the waves in the sea so that it looks more realistic and natural. So in order to do that, we need to apply a loop animation. And to do that, now that we have our layer with some keyframes in there, what we need to do is we need to group this group by itself one more time, just like, you know, hitting Control or Command G to group it up in order for us to add our loop animation, so that it wouldn't affect or take off the keyframes that we added previously. So now I have that selected. I'm going to go under the on the right panel and click on the motion tab, and then we'll go under loop. I'll choose rotation, and then I'm going to make it swing. And for the swing rotation, I will just make this one 3%, and then the number of loops is going to be, let's say, 3 loops, and see what that looks like. And we don't want to forget to expand or stretch out the swing animation button onto the group layer from the very beginning until the end. So if we go back, let's go back and then have a play and see what that looks like. So the boat is currently just, you know, swinging in the water and looks pretty cool, right? Everything looking amazing so far. So this is looking more realistic and we're bringing things to life. But there is still one step to make it even more realistic. Normally, when you're looking at boats or ships in the water, you should see the bottom part, or you should not be able to see this, because the bottom part of boats or ships, they should be sinking into the water. And so that's exactly what we want to do in order to achieve this result and basically bring the whole thing to life and make it more realistic. So how do we do this? All we want to do is we want to apply some masking to this image so that we make, you know, the entire image visible and basically hide the bottom part of the boat, making it look like, or giving you the illusion that the bottom part of the boat is sinking in the water. So how do we do this? We simply open up our shapes and then grab a rectangle. And we want to make sure that this is basically covering, you know, like I said, the entire boat image from the top all the way to the left side and the right side as well, because our boat is basically sailing from one direction to the other across the entire screen. That's why we need to have our shape covering the entire screen, left and right, and from the top as well. So we want to decide on how much do we want to hide from the boat. So let's say something like this right here, and then from here, before I may apply some mask, like apply this as my mask to the boat image, you can see that I have my swing loop animation onto that group. So not to lose that, I would need to group it also by itself. So I'm going to hit Control G to group it by itself, and then from there I can simply just right click and then select both layers, my rounded rectangle as well as the boat group, and then right click and then mask these guys together, and now voila, we have the bottom part of the boat sinking in the water, looking a lot more natural. And let's go back and then play this whole thing from the beginning, and here you go. This is absolutely amazing, definitely much better than working with a static image and having the boat just basically, sail on the water on a straight line, which looks unrealistic. It's just one little thing, you could just say a compliment that I basically did. I'm going to unlock this layer and then click on show. That was basically just my toucan right there that I added onto that scene right there, just to make it look beautiful, basically. There you go. Absolutely amazing. So I hope you found this helpful. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.